January 2026. The FBI opens a drawer it swore was closed forever. 680 pages. One name still missing. 55 years. And the file is moving again. Everyone thinks they know the story. A man hijacked a plane, took $200,000 and vanished into a storm. Almost nobody knows this. He never once called himself D.B. Cooper. A reporter's mistake gave him that name, and the case that was supposed to be unsolvable is unraveling right now. November 24th, 1971, Portland, Oregon. A man in a dark suit pays cash for a one-way ticket. No ID, no metal detector. In 1971, you boarded a plane like a bus, seat 18C. He orders a bourbon and waits. The flight attendant who walks past his row is 22, on the job less than a year. Her name is Tina Mucklow. He hands her a note. She assumes it's a phone number and slips it into her pocket, unread. He leans in. Read it. Bomb in the briefcase. He opens the case just enough to show the wires. From this second on, 36 passengers fly easy, and only one of them knows how close they are to dying. His demands, $200,000, cash, and 4 parachutes, waiting on the tarmac before he frees a single passenger. Mucklow becomes the wire between a hijacker and the cockpit, a bomb sitting 18 inches from her hip. In Seattle, the FBI does something never done before, photographing 10,000 $20 bills, one by one, onto microfilm. The plane lands. He keeps his word. 36 passengers walk free. Then he makes Mucklow read him the safety card for the rear stairs, word for word, like he's studying for something. Can the stairs drop mid-flight? She says she doesn't think so. She is about to be proven catastrophically wrong. One human moment first. He tries to tip her, peeling off some of the ransom cash. Company policy, she says, and hands it back to a man holding a bomb. He sends her to the cockpit, tells her not to look back. Somewhere over freezing Washington forest, at night, in a business suit and loafers, he lowers the stairs of a moving jet and steps into nothing. When the plane lands in Reno, the stairs are still swinging. He is not on them. He is nowhere. Everyone asks what happened to him. Almost nobody asks what happened to her. Tina Mucklow testifies, sits with a sketch artist, then walks away from flying entirely into a Catholic monastery. Silence over fame that was hers for free. For years, reporters knock on convent doors for a quote she never gives. When she finally speaks, in her 70s, she is still the calmest person in the room. Could he have survived? Camp 1, that jump was a death sentence. Freezing rain, 40-degree crosswinds, dress shoes, 0 training. Camp 2 isn't so sure. Nearly every man ever accused of being Cooper died decades later, of old age, in his own bed. Even the map fights back. Run the wind drift math with 1971 data, and he lands near a town called Ariel. Run it with modern models, and the likely zone shifts miles away, into forest nobody has ever searched. Whether he lived or died, he rewired flying forever. Within a year, every 727 in America gets a mechanical wedge. The Cooper vein, welded to the rear stairs so no one can ever do this again mid-flight. And the copycats he inspired are why you walk through a metal detector before boarding at all. The FBI names it NORJAK and throws everything at it. Hundreds of interviews, every tip chased, every anonymous letter opened. 5 years in, the number is staggering. 800 suspects considered. Cleared down to 24, and not one ever charged. Not one confession anyone believed, and desperation makes people strange. One man fakes a confession just for the attention. A respected journalist chases a scoop that turns out to be a scam. A pilot spends years insisting she is Cooper. None of them are him. And everyone proves the same thing. This case doesn't just attract investigators, it attracts obsession. February 1980. An 8-year-old boy digging a fire pit on a riverbank hits something that isn't sand. 3 packets of $20 bills rotted almost to pulp. $5,800. Serial numbers a perfect match to Cooper's ransom, the only trace of that money ever found. And it breaks the case instead of solving it. Why here, miles from where he was thought to land? Why only this much of 200,000? Where is the rest? And who has been sitting on it for 50 years? 2016. 45 years in, the FBI closes the file. Not because they solved it, because there is, quite literally, nowhere left to look, except the file was never empty. Cooper left his tie behind, and for 30 years it sits in an evidence room, ignored. Then the FBI does something it never had, it lets outsiders in. A volunteer team, citizen sleuths, led improbably by a paleontologist who studies dinosaur bones, asks for one object, that tie. Nobody had ever looked at it this closely. What they find is the closest thing to a fingerprint this case has ever produced. Under an electron microscope, microscopic particles of rare titanium alloy, stainless steel, rare earth metal, the exact residue of someone working in aerospace-grade metal fabrication around 1970. It does not hand investigators a name, but it draws a silhouette. Whoever Cooper was, there is a real chance he clocked in every day at a factory building parts for Boeing. And it explains why 50 years of DNA testing keeps coming back inconclusive. The evidence has passed through too many hands for too many decades for even today's labs to promise a clean answer. Which brings us to Richard Floyd McCoy Jr., Vietnam veteran, Green Beret, a skydiver skilled enough that 5 months later he pulls off an almost identical hijacking. Same demands, same kind of plane, and gets caught within days. His own family has wondered for decades if he was Cooper. Recently, they find a parachute rig buried in a storage shed that one investigator calls a 1 in a billion match to Cooper's gear. It is not a smoking gun, but it is enough to make the FBI look up. The FBI takes the parachute, pulls DNA from McCoy's own children to run against the partial sample lifted from Cooper's tie half a century ago. Then this January, they release hundreds of once classified pages, dead-end tips, shelved suspect profiles. By February, the parachute is quietly returned. No statement on what the testing showed, no confirmation, and no denial. As of today, the FBI has named no one. Every lead that looked promising in January looks exactly as promising, and exactly as unproven, right now. America's most famous unsolved crime is once again actively being worked, and once again unsolved. Maybe that is why it never dies. A small Washington town throws a festival in his name every year, decades after the trail went cold. There is beer named after him, songs written about him. A man who threatened to kill everyone on a plane and vanished with a stolen fortune, somehow remembered as a folk hero instead of a felon. Because this was never about who Cooper was. It is about why a whole country keeps rooting for the man who got away. If the FBI ever puts a name to Cooper, it breaks here first. Subscribe, so you are not the last to know the day this legend finally runs out of runway.